Hey guys, a new episode of the weekly show will be out soon, hopefully this week, with a really exciting interview. In the meantime, a friend suggested that I make a video about the primary ballot, and I thought that sounded like fun because I have a weird definition of fun. So this won't be directly related to cannabis, but as Wanda James says, if you're not in politics, you're not in pot. So let's get to it. This is going to be 3 things about each line of my Denver Democratic primary ballot, which is due back June 30th. So first, 3 things about the ballot itself. Number 1, Colorado is one of the best places in the country for voting. Both Democrats and Republicans have worked over the years to build a super secure, super convenient vote-by-mail system. And if you live here, you know, having this thing sitting on your kitchen counter makes you pay just a little more attention to democracy. In the 2018 midterms, we had 60% voter turnout compared to a 48% average nationwide. So don't listen to any nonsense against mail-in voting. It works great. Number 2, this ballot is specific to my neighborhood. If you live elsewhere in Denver, you might have slightly different choices for some of the local offices. Number 3, this ballot is for a Democratic primary, so everyone on here is pro-choice, pro-environment, pro-gay rights. Technically, the winners of this primary have to beat a Republican in November, but most Denver districts are so Democratic that Republicans don't even put up a candidate. So this ballot is the one that matters for those offices. That's not the case for U.S. Senate. The winner of the primary has a fight ahead of them against Cory Gardner.
Cory Gardner, please come on up.
And actually, that's the first office on the ballot, so we'll start there. This is 3 things about the United States Senate primary race in Colorado, Andrew Romanoff versus John Hickenlooper. Number 1, winning this race in November is very important to national politics. It's important because Democrats want to take back a majority in the U.S. Senate, and they're counting on Colorado's seat to flip. Hickenlooper's backers say that his moderate positions are the safest bet to push Cory Gardner out of office. But Romanoff backers say that Democrats are going to win anyway, so why not move the Senate farther left while we're at it? Regardless of who wins this primary, Democrats have to win in November, or this jerk will still be in charge.
Marijuana. Cannabis industry.
Number 2, this is basically a Biden versus Bernie situation. Andrew Romanoff is the Bernie-style progressive challenger, while John Hickenlooper is the more moderate mainstream Democrat. They agree on principles, but Romanoff pushes big ideas like Medicare for all, while Hickenlooper is more comfortable with smaller baby steps. Take recreational marijuana, for example. If you don't like Hickenlooper, you might point out that he opposed Amendment 64, spoke out against it, and was kind of a stick in the mud about everything cannabis. But if you do like Hickenlooper, you could argue that his moderate positions won him 2 terms as governor, which protected the cannabis industry for 8 years. Same team, different tactics. Number 3, Hickenlooper was strongly favored to win, but the race has gotten very close. Hickenlooper has insanely high name recognition. He started Wine Coop Brewing, he was Denver's mayor for 2 terms, and then 2 terms as governor. But he kind of sticks his foot in his mouth a lot, and he's definitely on the pro-business, pro-job side of the party, which is becoming less popular. Meanwhile, Andrew Romanoff is very smart, well-spoken, and he was the youngest ever Speaker of the Colorado House. So it's a close race. This is easily the most important and most contested decision on the ballot, so even if you skip all the other offices, at least give the Senate race some thought. Now let's move down to the next position and do 3 things about U.S. Congress, Colorado District 1. Diana DeGette is running unopposed. Number 1. Diana DeGette is just a long-time, reliable Democrat. She first went to Congress in 1996 and hasn't lost since. She's not going to lose this year either. Number 2, she doesn't even have an opponent this year. In 2016, there were several very progressive challengers, several interesting personalities. Here's where one of them ended up. But this year, it looks like no one else even got on the ballot, so it seems like Diana will have this seat for as long as she wants it. Number 3, random thought, but it seems like the only threat to someone like Diana DeGette is someone like AOC. Young, smart, media-savvy candidate who runs against the Democratic establishment. Maybe Candy Cedabaka is thinking about it, but it's not easy to topple someone who's been in their district for as long as Diana DeGette. Next on the list, 3 things about State Board of Education District 1. Lisa Escarcega versus Donna Morgenstern. Number 1, this is a volunteer position. This state board is elected by the people to oversee education across all school districts, but its members aren't even paid. Meanwhile, both Lisa and Donna have spent upwards of $70,000 to campaign for the job. Can you imagine working so hard to get a job that won't even pay you? Talk about public servants. Number 2, both Lisa and Donna are first-time candidates. The incumbent didn't even make it onto this ballot. That's rare because usually if people see a name they recognize, they'll support you again. But apparently the incumbent lost a lot of her supporters, and she was known for frequently rambling off topic in board meetings. It's a funny reminder how much personalities can affect politics. The incumbent might have been right on all the issues, but she's insufferable in meetings. So now she's not even on the ballot. Number 3. Of people who are on the ballot, Lisa Escarcega seems like the more serious candidate. She has support from teachers' unions and activists like Tay Anderson. Donna only has a couple endorsements, and she's funding the whole campaign herself, which tells me she hasn't been able to convince enough other people to support her. I don't know a ton about education politics, so I'm probably just going to trust the teachers' union. Lisa Escarcega is going to get my vote. Moving to the next line on the list, we have 3 things about State Senate District 31. Chris Hansen versus Maria Orms. No, not that Chris Hansen.
I'm Chris Hansen. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am.
Number 1. This is another outsider versus insider race. Chris Hansen has only been in politics for 4 years, but he's running a typical insider campaign, talking about bills that he's passed, talking about his detailed understanding of issues. Maria Orms is running a typical outsider campaign. She talks about big ideas like windmills funding education. She has some kind of cringy ads. She has some odd claims like saying all her yard signs have RFID trackers in them. And she lists her personal phone number so you know that she's accessible. I do love when politicians do that, and I always save their numbers just in case they get elected.
Hello?
Hi, is this Maria?
Yes, it is.
Hey, I am a voter and I saw you'd put your number out there. I wanted to see if it was real.
It is real. Thanks
Cool.
for reaching out.
Number 2, Chris and Maria talk a lot about climate change, both of them. They both have engineering backgrounds and have worked in environmental causes. Choosing between 2 engineers both intent on saving the environment seems like we can't lose. Number 3, Maria is a woman. I will probably vote for Chris because I trust his understanding of the job, and Maria is a bigger unknown. But if you think these candidates are generally equal, I think it's okay to vote for Maria just to put more women in our state senate. Legislative bodies make better laws when they're more representative of the people. But you might also be happy to know that our state house is already majority women, and the state senate is close to equal. Did I mention that I love Colorado? Speaking of badass women, let's get to 3 things about State Representative District 8, Leslie Herod running unopposed. Number 1, Leslie Herod's background. Representative Herod has been a force in progressive politics since she co-founded New Era Colorado as a CU student in 2005. She's the first black gay woman to be elected in Colorado. She led several of the protests downtown. She wrote the police accountability bill that was just passed. She's a badass. So that probably explains number 2. Number 2, there's no contest here. Either no one was dumb enough to go against Leslie, or they couldn't get enough support to get on the ballot. Either way, it's her seat. Number 3, keep an eye on Leslie Herod's future. If she's not the first black woman elected governor of Colorado, it'll only be because she jumps right up to Congress. I really do hope she stays in Colorado. Now on to the last office on the list. This is 3 things about District Attorney, 2nd Judicial District, Beth McCann running unopposed. Number 1, Black Lives Matter. We have to start there. District attorneys are part of the broken justice system. The Black Lives Matter movement is rightly putting pressure on DAs, including by marching to their houses, to use their positions to make serious changes to that broken system. For a fascinating look at what a truly progressive DA can accomplish, look up Larry Krasner in my home city of Philadelphia. But the point is, we can't look at a DA race without thinking about the racial justice movement. Number 2, Beth McCann says the right things, but she's still getting pressure. She has said Black Lives Matter and that she agrees with the protesters and believes in reform. It is notable that she's not the DA who cleared Elijah McClain's murderers, because that was in Aurora. But she is getting criticism about William DuBose, a man that Denver police said was armed when they killed him after a high-speed chase last month. I honestly don't know if Beth McCann is one of the good ones who's going to fix the justice system, or if she's someone who will quietly defend the status quo. There's no one running against her anyway, but I do hope the pressure continues, and I hope that she steps up and leads the way, or she will definitely have a primary challenger next election. That brings us to point number 3. Number 3, vote blank in this primary to send a very small message. Beth McCann is unopposed in this primary, and we certainly don't want her losing to a Republican in November. But the very small message that we can send is leaving this bubble blank, because I want Beth McCann to worry about her next primary cycle. I want her to know that she has one more term to make some serious strides towards police accountability, or she will definitely lose the job. So I hope we all vote for her in November, and then pay a lot of attention to what she does. But for right now, I'm going to leave this bubble blank. And with that, we've reached the bottom of the ballot. So I'm going to fill in these circles, remove this stub at the top, sign the envelope, and go drop it off. Also, I even get a sticker. Thanks for watching. Check out the weekly show coming up later this week.